Hey guys, welcome back to Sanator Scarlet Scarf. ep4 here, and today we have more storytelling of the dark and mysterious kind. So, without any further ado, let's just start reading this, shall we? From where we left off, we were autopsying, I think, the cadaver that was inside of the house that, yeah, the cadaver was trying to steal something, and then he had like a look of shock on his face or something, and so we're trying to figure out why he died. If I remember that correctly. All right, let's start reading. Twilight forever reigned under the dank mortuary's vaulting. Even at the brightest noon, the sun rays hardly pierced the narrow windows on the thick stone walls. Smoky, tarry torches attempted to bring in light, all in vain, as they were only blackening the mildewed stones, weeping with condensation. But how it would all change on a moonlit night! This room was built ages ago, in the times of the Aeler, when there was no Tanteria and no human cities. Now a bright ray of light falls right in the middle of the hall, gathered by the system of mirrors cunningly hidden inside the walls. It is unusually crowded here today. A number of figures in official Sanator outfits surround the low marble pedestal where a body lies with its arms limply spread, prepared for autopsy by the attendant morticians. The body looks even whiter in the moonlight, resembling a marble statue, and the scarlet, cracked wounds look even more unnatural upon it. The St. Elmo brothers are talking quietly, nodding to each other with their heavy beaks. Their voices merge with crackling torches, filling the room with a low hum, like a disturbed beehive. Today, all who are gathered are one way or another involved in the unfolding war with the epidemic. Yet, there comes, in the moonlight, the cold gleam of a surgical knife, and all conversation abates, giving way to the firm, confident voice of the dissector leading the autopsy. The subject is male, about 20 years old, of regular build, emaciated, liverus mortis on the face, clavicle, internal thigh surfaces. The neck, chest, and abdomen are covered by characteristic cracks inherent to the current epidemic. Presumed cause of death, extensive inner hemorrhage. Pay attention to the face. Silence, please. Note the facial expression of abject horror, possibly pre-exodus hallucinations, commencing sexual transversalis. The blade silently slides through the body, opening it like a horrible flesh bud. The dissector dilates the cut. He bends down to the corpse, nearly touching it with his beak, as if he's going to feast on the remnants like the real crows do. Cracks inherent to the disease can be observed on viscera. 2. Multiple lesions of the stomach and bowel, a solar plexus pulverized. The voice of the dissector gets drowned out by rising ruckus. Senators simply can't contain themselves. Ordinary maladies cannot kill so fast. What formerly was but a guess to be proven is now presented to everyone in a clear, unambiguous manner. Disruption of the heart bursa, heart wall. Quarantine the town immediately. Send word. We must return all those who left in the past few weeks. It's the plague spirit, the cadrat. The mortuary fills with disturbed voices, sounds of footsteps, and rustle of clothes. Brothers hurry to give orders that may ruin hundreds of lives, but save thousands. The orders are followed by the foreboding words. The spirit, the cadrat. The entire region will be roused. Outposts of crossbowmen will block the roads. Both mounted and foot patrols will move along the forest paths. No one will leave Rostat until the spirit claims its own. Beak-headed figures disappear through dark archways until a lone dissector remains by the bodies, continuing to open the flesh, extracting the answers to the malady. For what point would there be in tending the ill without fully knowing the cause? But there may be a hint in the way the Kadrat kills, a secret which will lead the brothers to their target. An exhausted Sanator returns home well past midnight. So much has been done, and only the sleeper knows if they've missed something important. Have they missed the way? The chance to save Rostat from ruin? In the weak light of an oil lamp, Richard stays motionless for a moment in the dimly lit, dusty shed, trying to calm his fearful heart. Breathe in. Breathe out. The night chill makes him shiver after the heavy, humid suit. But Richard does not hurry into the house. Sniffling from the cold, he washes off the remnants of the protective ointment, splashing out the rainwater onto the grass. His feet ache from tiredness, making him get to bed as soon as possible and fall asleep. And even when the Sanator falls on the pitifully creaking bed, he can't afford a long rest. This night, he has to talk to the shadow, to his faithful Anga. Anja? Anga? I think we went with Anja. Yeah. She might notice something he's missed. Anja! Anja! The dream meets Richard with the familiar twilight, with a maze of walls and aisles branching out into boundless space. The shapes of inner dwellers slither on the verge of visibility. One only has to concentrate, and the nocturnals will hide from the gaze that destroy their bodies, too fragile in their shapelessness. And to think that once he was totally unable to find his way here. Richard moves through the intricate passages of the inner labyrinth, towards the light and the tinkling of bells. Anja's chambers lay deep, and Sanator has time to think about the questions he wants to ask the wayward shadow. What to say, and what to pass over in silence. Despite their consanguinity, both have their secrets and their own hidden agendas. The Shadow Seneca has no doors, but he stops at the entrance as usual, asking for permission to enter with a mere glance. Anja likes this little courtesy, and Richard can afford it. The Shadow meets him as she often would, turning aside resentfully with her hands and heavy chains defiantly exposed. Richard can see a mischievous sparkle in her eyes as she is reading the reaction of her guest. All is well. Are you going to shame me again, Anja? The shadow casts an eye on him, full of hidden hope, and her chains tinkle like little bells. Are you trying to reassure me again, Richard? Calm me down while you stand before me with the very key to my chains in your hands. What an actress. If only I'd unweave the seals, we'd swap our roles at once. What kind of chains are you preparing for me, Anja? Anja screws her face into a smile, magnetizing the Sanator with her promising gaze. I was never taught to love otherwise. And what about you? Do you still heal those whose time is already measured and whose days are numbered? We will all be carried away by the wind someday. But it's not the reason to refuse the salvation to those who can still be caught. The Senator's answer angers her. The shadow rises in her seat, as if trying to catch his shoulders and shake him in a desperate attempt to make her point. They loathe you, blind man. Why are you so naive? They tremble when they see your cloak. They shut their doors and their shutters. They are afraid to touch your very shadow. I wouldn't blame them for the latter, though. Anja twitches as if she was slapped. She subsides and frees. Then, with an imperceptible movement, she slides out of her chained body, leaving it seated like a gutless puppet, reappearing so close that Richard feels the heat of her breath. The Senator doesn't budge. Long past are the times when Shadow's tricks could frighten him or catch him off guard. Whatever Anja does, the key from her chains is always firmly held in his fists. Possessing it means both bliss and torment, and Richard doesn't know whether he will be able to maintain self-control until his very end. Anja whispers. Her lips nearly touch Richard's ear, and her words touch his heart with anguish. See, you came here just for me. Say you have no questions for me today. He pretends to be cold. He has no right to fall for her tricks. Do you remember my promise? Never to lie to you. I keep my word. Your words cut deeper than your knives, Richard. Are you suffering because of a stranger's troubles again? Trying to save those who have imprisoned my sisters? Look at it from a different angle. Doesn't my help delay their fall into the sea? Where does the doomed one suffer more? On the scaffold or in prison? Dying in his thoughts again and again and again and again. Richard speaks softly, but he is adamant under his softness. They're asleep, Anja. Asleep. Your awakening is an exception. We've discussed this before. Anja sighs theatrically and abruptly turns away, slapping his face with her hair. Ooh. I can't even have a talk with you! Ask then! Don't keep me in suspense! Richard sighs tiredly and sits down by the wall, starting his story. The memory obligingly awakens the day's earlier happenings. The barricade, the wife, living in dead houses, the sick, the hospital, the autopsy. The words flow and flow, and charmed Anja listens to the story about the world she wishes so much to get into one day. I am fraught with doubt, Anja. It feels like I'm missing a detail. Something irritating like an eye floater. Maybe you can catch something I couldn't. Your doubts are not unreasonable. Today you touched upon something very important for this plague. You did something meaningful. A new path between our dream and the fourth house wouldn't have appeared without reason. The disease walks around, scampering about your feet like a greyhound. Beware. Don't miss the moment when she pounces to dig her teeth into your throat. She wants to say more, stretches out her hand to him, but... A knock at the door. Fast, frightened. Knock, 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 knock. His head aches. The shade sleep doesn't let the body rest. One of the dues that must be paid for an intimate interaction with the other planes of reality. Richard lingers, gathering himself up to find out what a persistent guest wants. He presses his cold fingers to his temples, driving off the ache for a time. Ugh. What do you want? The Senator knows the answer already. Half awake, he mistook the bell tolling outside for the aftershocks of his night visions. Its slow, hollow clangs echo in his heart. A frightened voice behind the door only confirms his fear. The plague is spreading, Brother Senator. The fortress is shut. The central quarters are closed off by quarantine cordons. All doctors who aren't ill yet are summoned. You aren't ill, are you? I'm coming. Brush off already. There's no food behind the door. Is old Martha ill, or has she fled, hoping to hide from the march of the pestilence? That doesn't matter. He'll have time to eat later. Now he must hurry. If it's as bad as the messenger said, soon Restart will be overtaken with panic and chaos. Richard knows that the ravens carrying grim orders from the closed fortress are flying to their local settlements. Even if brothers can't keep the citizens within the stone trap of the stone walls, they would still have nowhere to run. The street is abandoned and lifeless. The shutters are firmly shut, and doors are closed, but the Sanator feels scratched by dozens of frightened stares through the sun-dried cracks and narrow attic windows. And all the more unexpected is a diminutive shape of a lonely wife, Syl, trudging towards him. Syl looks tired and weak, even more pitiable than yesterday. Her rags are tainted with something, and her eyes shining feverishly. She peers at the houses tensely, as if looking for something, and when she sees Richard, she greets him with a wave of her hand. Crow, you here again? And you're still wandering about? Sleeper's eyes? My dear, aren't you sap-headed? Look around. The pestilence is here. Someone could go mad with fear and harm you somehow. The rather innocent remark causes a storm of emotions in Syl. She raises her hands as if pushing someone back and sniffles pitifully, clenching her fists and holding them near her lips. Of course I will take care of you. The Senator stands in front of Syl at a loss, amazed by his own thoughts. What is the current price of this wife's life after all? How many little girls are suffocating in pain now, trying to breathe in a way that won't disturb the horrible Scarlet Scarf marks? But the look of Syl, who's nearly crying, doesn't let him just go away. What can he do in town after all? Must he put to sleep a few more scores of citizens? All will be in vain. The Brotherhood is losing this battle, so why shouldn't they just let the Scarf finish it? He must care for the living, not for the dead, even if the dead can still move and breathe. Richard gathers his thoughts and speaks up kindly, trying to calm Syl down. If you have nowhere to go, you can live with me for a while. We'll find a place for you after the plague, so you'll be all right. She looks at him mistrustfully, as if gauging his sincerity, and then asks quietly, Can I really? Are you trying to trick me, Crow? You seem to think I have some indecent plans. The suggestion somehow makes Syl smile. No way you could. If you're one of those, you'd have tried to do it all yesterday. Do you even know what you're talking about? You should be ashamed to ask a woman about those things, Crow. Well, where's your home? Richard wants to scold her, but stops. The streets make children age fast. It's better not to think about it. You're calling yourself a woman, Pimple. Better stay quiet and follow me. I'm coming. Just don't get angry. Syl waits patiently for Richard while he takes off the outfit, which has had no time to warm up on him. She has calmed down and cheered up a bit after his invitation, but is still sniffling, either from the cold or swallowing the tears that remained hidden. You look different without your beak, Crow. Are you surprised? We're all humans, even if we wear masks. She thinks about it for a few moments, only answering Richard after a while. Oh, humans? Yes, maybe. Are you cold, perhaps? Asked the girl, standing barefoot on cold stone. Come in, it's warm inside. Perching on a chair, Syl looks around Richard's room with interest, but doesn't touch anything. Meanwhile, Richard rummages downstairs, collecting the food left in the house on a tray. Soon he appears in the doorway, carrying a simple breakfast: bread, cheese, and a jar of honey he found in the cellar. The pot is heating, so we'll drink something hot soon. Do you have a bite? Syl turns aside, answering quietly. I don't want... Are you ill? How could it be that you don't want to eat? I've been fed. Don't be shy. Come on, here's some honey. Take as much as you'd like. It's strange, but here at Richard's, she rapidly becomes serious and withdrawn, like an animal caught in a cage. You're a good man, Crow. I shouldn't have come to you. Nonsense. You can eat later. You'll surely want to. Richard sits on his bed, stretching his tired legs and leaning against the warm wall. His eyelids are getting heavy, but falling asleep without deciding where to put up Syl would be unforgivable. Would be an unforgivable weakness. She's just sitting there, looking at him, not willing to touch the food. What has she seen in cruel backyards of the town? Why is she acting so strangely? Your name is Syl, right? I'm Richard, Brother Richard Murdoch. Yes, but I'll still call you Crow. Richard raises his hands peacefully, smiling. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. I'm not touchy. And how long have you lived on the streets? No, I just can't find my home. I'm walking around peeking in windows asking. You seem to be in deep water. Why didn't you go to the fortress or the town hall? Someone must be looking for you, no? Why should I go there? I wasn't living there, and they're now looking for me any. Perhaps they're even hiding from me. Something doesn't add up. But could the wife have a strange story? She's not the first to be abandoned by their parents, too poor to feed their children. What kind of parents do you have that would hide from their own daughter? And the house is big, not a thing to hide in the pocket. I have no parents. I don't find my home. Anyway, I'll try hard. Now is not the best time for searching. The town will soon go insane. I can't assure your safety then. Hopeless people are capable of doing horrible things. Syl frowns as if she's going to cry. But I must keep looking, or I may run out of time. Tell me about this house, Syl. Maybe I know it, or have seen it. The butcher's house. I was a servant there. Which one? My head is swimming. A tall one, made of stone with a heavy door and a big cellar. Syl shudders from her memories. Richard's face hardens with each of her words as he has a baleful gleam in his eye. He feels that he has come close to some terrible secret, a witness to something that needs a special brotherhood's attention. Don't be afraid. They won't find you here. It was they who mistreated you? I'm not afraid anymore. Whatever they've done seems so immaterial now. Then show me your neck. Richard! Syl looks up with a twinkle in her eye, smiling somehow coyly, as if about to accuse the Sanator in conspiring to possess her. But she's met with a cold stare, sharp as a surgical knife, making her fall silent. And then slowly, as if ashamed, she pulls back the rags covering her neck. The carmine, bloody scarf flutters in a humanly imperceptible wind. The first who dares to break the oppressive silence is Syl. You knew everything from the very beginning, didn't you? Sanders' voice is calm again. Calm in the same way as he talks to Anja. But his manner in speaking his words gives Richards away. No, I could have guessed, but in the end I didn't. I wanted to believe. And an orphan who's not afraid of your shadow? Having a family is not our custom, but no one forbids taking apprentices. You could become a doctor, perhaps. Are you going to try killing me? They say brothers can hurt spirits just like the living. Tell me everything. Even if we have to fight later, your tormentors will be punished. I want justice. Syl looks at him in amazement, as if hearing something unexpected. Justice? Don't you protect all good men of this area? Good men, Syl. Only good ones. Now tell me, time is running out. Syl tells him softly, sometimes pausing for a moment to hold her tears back. I was born in a hamlet by the Morgehorn swamps. The butcher took me in as a servant. No, perhaps he bought me from my parents when I was very young. It seems even funny now to complain about the shouting, the beatings, the cold, and the lumber room under the staircase, but it felt very hard and unfair at the time.
Sometimes I saw guests coming in by the back door. They all went to the cellar and shut the door firmly. The guests went home in the morning. They always lacked one or two. But what could I understand back then? The first time I tried to escape, the drunken master caught me near the lumber room and tried to rape me. And then the next day, his wife burned my back with a poker. Then I learned what the guests were doing in the cellar. One of them left a knife inside me. And night by night, I loosened the stones in the old brickwork from where the breeze was blowing. When they caught me the second time, they wouldn't leave me alive. The guests were looking on as the butcher flayed me. I was still alive when he took hold of my bleeding neck and pulled my skin down to my feet in one move. I felt this story was dark, but oh my god. The senator's voice is terrifying. Now he really sounds like the one that scares naughty children in the line.
The cult of Ragazan, right under our nose at that! Still, now your tormentor will learn much more about pain in the executor's dungeons than you ever did.
No, Mistress Milliard made me deal with me. Each day of my search is paid with innocent blood. If I don't kill the butcher in a week, then I'll become a real cat rat. Another one in the court of the Plague Maiden.
Why is there even an option? The guy's gotta go. And so you came to me? Did you realize how the Plague Maiden tricked you?
Still turns aside, sobbing, and hides her face in her palms, not wanting to show her weakness. I had forgotten their faces, and the house too. I had to forget everything, but I couldn't. Melis's caress awoke my memory.
Richard is not shouting, but his accusations fall in silence like heavy stones. You strike right and left, kill the innocents, aiming at your tormentors blindly. What have you become, Syl? What is the difference between you and the guests who came to torture you?
Kill me, Richard. I know you won't rest until my vengeance is done.
The senator knows that the Kajat is crushed. The force leading her, vengeance, could not withstand the unexpectedly awakened conscience. But he asked the last question to end it all. Do you really want it? You must know. If you have any doubts, my strike will banish you, but it won't kill you.
I hate what I've become, brother. Thirst for revenge gnaws at my insides like a tireless worm. Take it from me. I don't have no more reasons to exist.
Richard nods in agreement. A stiletto has been long hidden from his clenched hand. Its blade, forged from metal fallen from the sky, can cut the bodies of those unafraid of the honest steel. Syl steps to him, taking off her scarf. She wants to say something, perhaps to say goodbye, but the senator is merciful. The stiletto stings, goes through her without the slightest resistance, and an astonished expression stays on her face as it vanishes into thin air. Richard sits for a long time, squeezing the scarf so tightly that his knuckles go white. He shakes his head and gets up. He knows that all around the town, his brethren are seeing how blood stops leaking from the never-healing cracks of the bodies of the afflicted. Many of them will still die. They won't be the last victims of the Scarlet Scarf. The butcher, living in his big house with a deep cellar, will be found soon. The next ones will be his guests, then those who sold them the children, those who taught them to rejoice in the pain of others. Until the last one of them falls, the Brotherhood does not unclench its jaws if they happen to latch onto someone's throats. The gears of the mechanism begins to spin. 1 week later, the executors found the butcher's house. He was denying everything, but a meeting with Richard broke him like a straw. He was executed in the square in front of a huge crowd using one of the most spectacular methods: excommunication from the sleeper. But before that, he had given up his accomplices. A lot of them were rich and influential, but not sufficiently enough to stop the rotating flywheel of the Brotherhood. The strings extended every which way, pulling new persons in the light, and Richard was merciless. He left the Sanator's ranks and transferred to the Executors, but even his zeal began to seem suspicious with time. His men said that when he was alone, he would talk to Scarlet Scarf, which he always had with him. 3 years later, Richard Murdoch went missing while chasing a group of cultist outlaws all by himself in the quagmires of Zexenmersh. Whether he perished in the fetid bog, was shot with an arrow from an ambush, or finally lost his sanity remains unknown. Though in the lost village of the Swamp Dwellers, there's a strange tale about a hermit called the Scarlet Scarf, but that's a story for another time. Oh my god, that was so good. Ah! I loved Syl. Oh, that poor girl. Such torture. And he went on like a path of wrath. Oh, my heart hurts so bad. The Scarlet Scarf story will be completed only after all the game endings are unlocked. Don't hesitate to save or reset your progress, since you won't have to reread any text. Tab or control to enter skip mode. Okay. Alright guys, that is one ending of it. Oh. Alright, that's all I have time for today. Jeez, I'm definitely gonna read all the different kinds of like scenarios, and I will see you guys in the next video. But Pedro Mondo signing out. See ya.